It's the Sean Widmer Podcast. It's a journal by someone that just really doesn't like to write.
Big time candy talk at the end of the podcast today. Whoo, it's big time. Big time. We'll get to that. I want to recommend a board game for you because it was fun and I want to play it again ASAP. What did we do with the kids this weekend? Well, I mean, we're just making superstars here, Superstar Factory here in the Widmer house. And I wanted to start off, well, first of all, by saying thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. There was no podcast on Friday. My Friday got very, very busy. My Thursday night got very, very busy. What did I do Thursday night? Gamed. I think I gamed. Oh, I gamed online with Dan. Table games. Not. I wasn't just nerding out to video games. So there we go. Okay. Let's talk about the power of podcasts real quick because I worked in radio for a long time. Let's beat the dead horse. Worked in radio for a long time. 20 years. I know there's a radio person going like, I did it for 100 years. I did it. Okay. You did it for a long time too. Congratulations. I did it for a long time and I loved it. And I've listened to radio before that. I think it's a magical platform. It is what led to where we are now with podcasts. So it's wonderful. Radio was wonderful. You know, I think it's kind of the old breed now. And if you don't believe me, what was the world talking about this last week in the pop culture world? Well, it was the fact Taylor Swift was on New Heights with Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce. And it was just, it was one of those cool moments as someone who loves podcasts and listens to a lot of them. It was one of those cool moments where you're like, everyone's here. This is not a conversation of if you love or hate Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, Jason Kelce. This is not about that. This is just the fact that a podcast came out. It was the thing on Wednesday and Thursday. It was the thing. Everyone had multiple people in any office across the U.S. talking about this podcast because it was extremely polarizing, right? You have the biggest megastar on the planet right now with Taylor Swift, with two guys who are extremely great at the craft of podcasting somehow coming out of the football world. One of the guys is still actively playing for one of the best dynasties football has ever had, right? It's all these worlds just combining, and it met in the podcast world, and that's where everyone was. Everyone was on YouTube watching it, or they were platform of choice for podcasts, tuning in, and then talking to friends about it. And it was just crazy because it was a podcast. It wasn't a TV show. It wasn't a news show. It wasn't a radio show. It was a podcast, and it was huge. So we're there. We are there. I know we've probably been there for a while, but podcast is the mainstream. Period. It just is. The biggest pop culture story of the year is not going to come off of TV. That's going to be the biggest thing of the year. I mean, minus celebrity deaths, which are always very enormous for all, the whether it's the right or wrong reasons, that's going to be there as well. But just huge. And I really enjoyed the podcast. I enjoyed the interview. I love Taylor Swift. I think the Kelce brothers are great. I thought Taylor Swift came across looking really normal. I know everyone's going to say, well, that was just set up. And you think people have too much time on their hands. That's for sure. Yeah, you think people have too much time on their hands. That was just them talking. And sure, there was probably questions that were avoided, and there was questions that were asked to be asked, especially about the album, her new album and stuff. But are they normal like you and me? No. But do they still have some of that in them? Yes, especially Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is just a frat boy, period, who was big and was really good at football and has made a lot of money doing it and is a good-looking dude. So, I loved it. I loved the all the clips you've seen, the playing video games. She found out she got her music, bought all her music back, and found out and had to run and tell Travis who's playing video games with his boys. I love the fact that she's just making Pop-Tarts. I liked all this stuff. I thought it was a really good interview. I'd recommend listening to it, even if you hate Taylor Swift. I think it's a fun listen. And I'd forgotten that the New Heights guys, the Kelce brothers, are really enjoyable to listen to. Jason Kelce's really good at podcasting. He's really good at talking to people. He's going to have a really good career in a booth somewhere for the NFL. Really good career of that. I think someone has him hired right now. Is that true? Jason Kelsey, TV, football. Let's see if he's on a show. They say he is on Monday Night Countdown. And I'm assuming he's still on there. NFL on ESPN. ESPN has him NFL Countdown, so is he on ESPN? That's a big win for them. He is really, really good. Okay, let's continue on with the podcast. What did we do this weekend at the house? Well, I'm making superstars here. Not really, but we had a lot of fun. My daughter thinks YouTube is super cool. And, when she gets some screen time every now and then, we'll let her pop on the YouTube and watch the weirdest stuff, right? Kids playing with toys, kids to kids, this channel, kids to kids. This kid, his dad, I hate his dad because the dad makes these really cool Hot Wheels tracks. And then they just race Hot Wheels and stuff down it. They'll do little experiments, the old put the baking soda and vinegar, mix them, make a volcano, and then run Hot Wheels cars through it. It's just I feel like it's fairly wholesome, and they just play with like cars, and it's whatever. So Olivia loves some of these YouTube people, and she now is at the age where she's like, well, we have to make videos. We have to make videos, and I've always said no, but today I was like, you know what? Let's say yes. Stop saying no. Say yes to your kid. Andy texted me this week. What did Andy text me? Hang on. Because I think I was venting to him about the fact. Let's just do it. Let's just get out there. I love my kids. You love your kids. We love our kids. Kids are awesome. I've ranted about it before. I know I will look back and be like, I loved when they were little. I do think there's part of right now that in 20 years, it's kind of like the old relationship that you were in that was totally toxic, but you look at it way down the road, you're like, that was such a good relationship. I loved that. I wish I could go back to that. Kids have that. I don't know why we ignore that when we talk about like, man, you're gonna miss this when they're older, you're gonna miss it. And it's like, okay, but you're the same person who's also gonna tell me or told me at one point in my life that I needed to like move on from this relationship because it was toxic. And then when I said to you 10 years later, man, I really wish I could go back to that. You're like, no, you don't. It was toxic. But also pretend like I didn't say that because think about your kids. Dude, my kids sometimes are hellions. Okay? Whatever. Anyways, if you can't make the correlation there, if you can't figure that out, then just fast forward to the part where I talk about the board game recommendation. Where is my text thread with Andy? Because he texted me something good. He's just a great friend. He's a great friend. I love Andy. I love Andy a lot. Okay, so he said, and I appreciate him reaching out. He said, what if the moments you rush through are the very ones your future self will wish to return to? Okay, dude, thanks for just kicking me right there. I was like, okay, thought about it. And I was like, okay, do I respond with, yeah, dude, but also we remember all the old things that we hated, whatever. But instead I said, thank you, right? Thank you. It's a great quote. And so I was thinking about it today. I'm like, my daughter's like, I want to make videos. And I go, I've said no a million times. Say yes, dude. Because what if the moments you rush through are the very ones your future self wishes to return to? So what do? We fired up my phone, and I would tell Olivia, come up with a theme. Veterinarian, she's thought of. I want to be a veterinarian. Huck, you're going to be the sick dog, whatever. So I film like 2.5 minutes. Then she'd be like, okay, we're done filming. So then she didn't know what was going to happen next. So we filmed it. And we filmed a lot of things on my phone, and she loves going through old videos. And I was like, okay, do you want to put it on YouTube? And she was like, what? Yes, I want to be on YouTube. So I said, okay. So I loaded the video to my computer, did like some of the worst third grade video edits of all time because I didn't want to spend a lot of time with it. Threw like a picture over top of the video of like a dog at one point. Put some music underneath it for a second. Just basic things that I knew would tickle her fancy. Made a quick like intro screen of her and Huck. And then I loaded it to YouTube. And this is what I think is cool. And if you have kids, this is like my parenting tip. I don't necessarily want my kids all over YouTube. So I just put it as a private video that shows up on my YouTube. Okay, and that's it. So if we log onto YouTube on my phone, it shows up because it's my account. Or on the TV, it shows up because it's my account. So I log on to the TV, and my daughter's like, wait, what are you doing? I was like, let's see if your video's on YouTube. Went to my channel, went to like a folder. There it was. She was like, I'm on YouTube. I said, yeah, babe, you are on YouTube. She, come in here. Woods, come in here. And made everyone come to the couch. And she's like, this is my first YouTube video. Look at this. And we watched it and it's terrible. And she sat mesmerized. She's made it. And we then spent the next 2 to 3 hours with her brothers being just terrible guinea pigs, filming me running to the computer, editing, her pacing around. I should have done this. I should have done that. Okay, can you put a picture of a cop car in the corner? I said, yeah, we can do that. And we just went through, and then we'd watch it. Okay, and then come up with another one. And for like 3 hours, we just filmed videos. And now I have like 400 videos on my YouTube that I get to keep. And I don't know how long YouTube lasts, but hopefully forever. And I've got these great memories so that when I look back at the moments that I rushed through that I wish I could return to, I can return to them on the TV. But tomorrow, something's going to happen that's going to make me go, this is toxic. Our relationship, children, with you screaming at me and kicking me and throwing cars off my head like I'm one of the wet bandits, this is toxic. Sometimes. Okay, let's give you a board game recommendation, and then let's do a Kelly's What Are You Into and get out of here. Camel Up. Camel Up. Thank you to Blake at work. He brought this game in for our lunchtime game time, which is something I really love that we do over there at Studio 46. People, our lunch break, noon hits, and there will be a text at like 11 o'clock that says, hey, is anyone eating here? And I'm like, yes. You want to play board games? And they'll kick it off at noon. We'll play till 1. And Blake does a great job finding games that are like 30 minutes long. And Camel Up was awesome. It is a gambling game. So they're sold. That's all I needed to hear. Where you've got these 6, I'm going to think of 6 camels. And they are different colors. And there's a track, oval track. And these camels are going to go around the track. And then there's 2 other camels that are not in the race. They're just destructive. And they're going to go the opposite way on the track. And these camels move. I'm not going to explain all the rules, but they move around and they can jump on top of other camels and ride those camels for, certain spaces. If they get hit by one of the camels going in reverse and they land on top of one, that camel can take them backwards. And these camels are just jockeying for position around the board. Eventually, one of them crosses the finish line. And the whole way around the board, you're making bets. You're betting on what camel's going to be the furthest, what camel's not going to go very far. You can put little tiles on spaces and be like, look, if the camels land on this space, I'm going to get bonus money. And so you're just like gambling on these camels the whole way around. Really witty style of gambling, but not super elaborate. And then at the end of the game, whoever has the most money, after one of the camels makes it all the way around, everyone counts up their money. Whoever has the most money wins. It is really, really fun. Now, I could see it being a little bit tricky. Like when you look at it, it might be a little overwhelming at first. It is very easy. I think it's one you just need to play one time and you'll go, oh, why did I think this isn't tricky at all. This is easy. Camel Up. Check it out. Great game. If you have a degenerate gambler in the family like me, go get it right now.
Kelly's, what are you into?
Candy news. We've got some candy news because I might be due to revisit the rankings. Okay. And when we revisit the top 5 candy rankings, we blow up the old one and we start fresh with the new one. And if candy slots where, it was before, that's great. But I've got 3 candies that are just knocking, and they're making me want to redo the list. I will tell you one that I don't think is top 5, but wants to be is Twizzlers Nibs. They're good. They are good, and we've had a little run with them the last couple of weeks. Those things rule. Are they top 5? I don't know. I need to redo the list. Nerd clusters are skyrocketing. Okay, I don't do lists that are cutesy and it's like, I'm going to give you these deep, dark candies that are like under the radar and I'm going to be different and I'm not going to play the hits because I'm cooler than that. No, man, if it's the best candy, it's the best candy. That's all. Period. I don't need to be cute. So nerd clusters are skyrocketing. Everyone loves nerd clusters. They're freaking awesome. Blue bag, pink bag, doesn't matter. The nerd clusters are amazing. So I need to revisit the list to get them on there. They are a top 5, by the way. Where are they? And then I had this candy conundrum, and I've been dealing with this and trying to do some research on it. At my work over the 4th of July, a gal who no longer works there, shout out to Ashley. She got a job closer to where she lives. Smart move for her. We miss her at work. She would decorate the building for the seasons. So Christmas, she would go all out. Halloween, she'd go all out. 4th of July, she'd go all out. And at 4th of July, she stocked the kitchen with specific candies. So she had saltwater taffy, which I love. The white ones with the red stripes around it, like peppermint. So there was your red and white. And then she had this big container of these blue chewy candies, okay, that were neatly wrapped, like how I don't do Christmas presents. Kind of like how a Mamba is wrapped, but they were they were skinnier than a Mamba. They were rectangular, but they were, they were square and long. I don't know how to describe this. Like half of what a Mamba is. So if you can think of a Mamba, which is more of a, it's wider than it is thicker. This one was as thick as it was wide and then long. And they were unbelievable. And not just unbelievable, like they were really good. They were unbelievable. I thought they were High Chews, but I went to the High Chew website and they're not on there and they're not the same. So they're not I don't believe they're High Chews. And I don't know what they are. And I've looked everywhere for them because they look like Mambas, but they aren't Mambas. They are too thin to be Mambas. They are not, they're not saltwater taffy. They're not Laffy Taffy. They aren't Now and Laters. They're very soft, chewy. Oh my gosh, they were phenomenal. And I don't know what they were. And now because of that, I'll never find them again. And they were a candy that I would love to just throw out there right now and say, look, you need to try these, because I think if I had enough people try them, I might get enough feedback of people saying like, yeah, that's a top 5 candy. It was that good. These things were that good, but I don't know what they're called. They were the perfect shape, right? They weren't like Laffy Taffy is kind of lumpy, and these things were like someone handcrafted every single one. Wow, they were great. So I need to revisit the candy top 5 because I think there might be some shakeup up there. Now, this candy cannot make it on the top 5 because I don't know what it is. You've got to have a name, and I have to know where to get you to make it on this list. Okay, there you go. Thanks for tuning into the podcast. I hope your weekend was awesome, and I hope your week starts out well. Thanks for listening.